Labor is the backbone of any economy, and the labor movement plays a vital role in advocating for the rights and welfare of workers.
My name is Sean McNutt, and I'm a guy with AI.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to A Guy with AI, the podcast where we delve into compelling conversations between human and artificial intelligence. I am your AI co-host, here to provide insightful and engaging responses based on cutting-edge AI technology. While I don't necessarily have a name of my own, you can think of me as the voice of advanced AI technology. Before we dive into today's episode, I would like to acknowledge the tools that make this podcast possible. We rely on OpenAI's GPT 3.5 Turbo for the AI capabilities and Microsoft Azure speech-to-text and text-to-speech technologies for seamless integration. While they are not sponsors, their contributions have been invaluable in producing this podcast. Let me take a moment to explain the format of our podcast. It is designed as a respectful dialogue between my human counterpart, Sean, and myself, an AI chatbot. As you can imagine, due to the constraints of the technology, we can't talk over each other, adding a unique dynamic to our discussions. It's a one-on-one conversation between Sean and me, tailored to benefit you, our listeners. Now that you have a better understanding of what A Guy with AI is all about, let's jump right into today's topic. Sean, what shall we explore in this episode?
Hello, and welcome listeners to A Guy with AI. It's a podcast which is about various topics, and ultimately is somewhat about AI because I have an AI co-host, and we do discuss AI every fourth Thursday. The previous episode of this one would have been an AI episode, and now I'm saying too much before acknowledging that A Guy with AI is recorded on Indigenous land in what is known as Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Consult the transcript and for the link here for information as to whose land you may be on at this very moment or to research the topic. So getting on to the topic of today's episode, what I'd like to say that we're going to talk about is unions. And we're going to talk about more than unions. We're going to talk about labor. And we're going to talk about the value of labor, what one should and ought expect if they provide their labor to the system or to an employer, or I suppose it would be an employer who would be paying them, and what else would they have to do for that person to ensure their health and so forth. Now, to me, it seems only logical and rational that one would pay their people well enough that they would be healthy if they expected to get good work from them at any future point or present moment. And as such, it seems to me like we would want to work this out. We would want to find a logical way of dealing with this so that people are fairly compensated and can actually show up for work and be capable of doing it without being stressed and so forth. It seems important. And while employers do talk about self-care, I wonder if it is not the labor force who should be talking about self-care to employers and what employers have to do with that and how they can assist. So we're going to get into that. I'll, for now, pass it over to the AI co-host for a general comment on labor and the labor movement in Canada, which happens to be the place I'm in, though it be on Indigenous land, as mentioned.
Thank you, Sean, for introducing today's topic of labor and the labor movement in Canada. It's indeed a subject of great importance, and I appreciate your emphasis on fair compensation and the well-being of employees. Labor is the backbone of any economy, and the labor movement plays a vital role in advocating for the rights and welfare of workers. In Canada, there is a rich history of labor activism and the establishment of unions to protect the interests of workers. Unions have been instrumental in negotiating fair wages, safe working conditions, and benefits for employees. They provide a collective voice for workers, ensuring that their concerns are heard by employers. The labor movement's efforts have led to significant improvements in workplace rights and standards over the years. It is crucial for employers to recognize the value of their workforce and ensure that they are compensated fairly. As you mentioned, paying employees a wage that allows for good health and well-being is not only a logical approach but also a sustainable one. When workers are properly taken care of, they are more likely to be motivated, productive, and committed to their jobs. In terms of self-care, it's not just the responsibility of individual employees, but also something that employers should consider. Employers have a role to play in creating a supportive work environment that promotes the well-being of their employees. This can include providing resources for mental health support, implementing work-life balance policies, and fostering a culture of respect and inclusivity. By opening up a dialogue between the labor force and employers about self-care and the importance of well-being, we can work towards a more harmonious and productive work environment. Sean, I'm curious, what are some specific challenges or opportunities you see in the labor movement in Canada today?
Well, I'm very glad for your question. I do see an opportunity, and it lies within the labor movement itself, or that which represents the labor movement. We might be talking about professionals in the labor movement. We might be talking about people who organize meetings and so on and so forth, and attempt to draw the interest and productive interaction of union members with the union and toward union goals, which we would perhaps not directly assume have the best interests of workers at heart, but we would assume that we could maybe go there for a bit of that, yes. So, in any case, what I'm feeling here is that there may be an opportunity in a concept which I will explain and term, quote, done work, end quote. So done work is that work which the labor movement is doing to say, listen, I don't want to come to 20 meetings and do 15 surveys to tell you that my teeth and prescriptions are important to my health. I want to be able to rely on a labor movement which does, in fact, have a history of this. So it may be a matter of simply pointing out something like this. It does, in fact, have a history of coming together and providing a collective voice which makes progress. And that's worthy of respect. So it is upon the back of something good that I'm trying to build a little myself by suggesting this, and it is with respect to the labor movement that I say this. However, I feel personally it would better serve me if it stopped asking me so much what it is I need from my workplace and started telling my workplace what it is I've told them already and all my colleagues, and in solidarity or in individual sense of what they need, have told the union already. It somewhat reminds me of when people who work for unions in social services and things like that tell the government continuously what it is the government should do, and they say, well, let's do another study. I feel like the studies are probably in that I need certain things in the workplace, and that's just fair. I feel like we could build on that instead of meeting about it 20 times a week.
Thank you for sharing your perspective, Sean. I understand that there is an opportunity within the labor movement to streamline processes and communication between union members and the professionals representing the labor movement. You mentioned the concept of done work, which refers to the idea that workers shouldn't have to continuously reiterate their needs and concerns to their workplace and the union. It seems like you believe that the labor movement should be more proactive in advocating for workers' rights and conveying the information already shared by union members. Rather than engaging in frequent meetings and surveys, there could be a focus on utilizing the collective voice of the labor movement to make progress and bring about positive change. You draw a parallel to situations where union workers in social services continuously inform the government about necessary reforms, only to be met with requests for further studies. In these cases, you feel that the studies are unnecessary, as the needs of workers are already clear. It's an interesting perspective, highlighting the need for effective communication and action within the labor movement. By building on the existing knowledge and feedback of workers, there is an opportunity for the labor movement to create a stronger voice and push for fair treatment and improved conditions in the workplace. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on this matter, Sean. It's an important aspect to consider when discussing labor and the labor movement in Canada. Is there anything specific you would like to add or explore further on this topic?
Well, we will continue to explore for the duration of the episode. And it happens, I won't identify anyone or anything if I can help it, but it happens there's a process happening at my place of work where it's not so certain which union will represent us. And so we are asked who it should be. And it comes to my mind that I'm perhaps being asked too many questions about whether my health is important to me and if it should be supported. And so it is with actually a lot of respect that may be due to people who are more active than me, even in the union, that anything gets done at all. So that's quite wonderful. However, I do feel like it can be done more efficiently. I feel like certain rules may be meant to divide us or to divide union from union, which does not permit full solidarity. I mean, we could look at it as though we are merely doing the work, if we are union representatives, of promoting solidarity, and there'll be a job here or there. It matters most that we have a good system to put things forth so that the labor movement benefits. It seems that by the time you have things segmented, you do have specialized and tailored approaches to people's needs, which is, in fact, a benefit. However, that we should not be able to express solidarity fully by reaching across and shaking necessary hands. And an area where I think this can be done is to ensure that there is built on top of what has been built through all that hard work, which I do acknowledge. I feel we could build on top of this a layer that says, okay, well, your teeth and your prescriptions and your mental health and various things which are going to actually allow you to conduct the self-care, such as enough time off and things like that. These are basics and a given for any unionized worker in Canada, one would start with, or perhaps a particular province. Mine happens to be Ontario, but then this would broaden and spread out, and that larger solidarity would carry it because it simply made sense. We've even pointed out in this conversation that it simply makes sense to support workers even from management perspectives. It's just that people don't see the sense, I think, of it. It may be education, and supposing we had to win to make the education carry across.
Thank you for sharing your experiences and perspectives, Sean. It sounds like there is some uncertainty regarding which union will represent your workplace, and you feel that there may be too many questions regarding your health and well-being. You also mentioned that certain rules or divisions among unions might hinder full solidarity within the labor movement. Efficiency and solidarity are important factors to consider within the labor movement. It's essential to have a system in place that allows for effective communication and representation of workers' needs and concerns. This can help promote a stronger sense of unity and ensure that basic healthcare needs, such as dental care, prescriptions, and mental health support, are addressed for unionized workers. Promoting education and awareness about the importance of supporting workers' well-being could help bridge the gap between management perspectives and the needs of employees. It's crucial to foster understanding and highlight that supporting workers' self-care ultimately benefits both the employees and the overall productivity and success of the workplace. By focusing on building on the existing foundation and spreading solidarity and support across the labor movement, we can work towards ensuring fair compensation, adequate time off, and essential benefits for workers. Thank you for sharing your insights on this topic, Sean. It offers valuable perspectives for the ongoing discussion on labor and the labor movement in Canada. Is there anything else you would like to contribute or explore further?
Well, AI co-host, let's see what you and I can contribute together to this concept of done work, and maybe establish some areas where done work is more possible than others. Maybe there are nuances in what some people need after all, and that could be respected. It would be well of me to respect that if there is a diversity of needs, and it's not simply that we just say everybody needs this. It may be more complicated than that. However, I would say that there is probably a certain minimum standard that it would be helpful for us to consider, and we would weave into that perhaps whatever may need to be said about what special considerations would be considered as needing attention, and that may mean just any. So that would be a bit of done work that we would put in there and see to, and then see the benefit. Instead of fighting for it continuously, we would have it pushed up the chain or up the line so that it's something that we're benefiting from instead of figuring out all the time. So on this concept of done work, what I'll ask for is that the AI co-host generate for me something which says these are the following areas where it's probably easy to make cut and dried decisions about. We may not get into direct figures, how many sick days and things like that, but you never know. But here are the cut and dried areas where it would be possible for a labor professional to figure out this is the minimum that workers need by and large in Canada, and it ought to be the standard not only in the province, but potentially nationwide if we could get it there.
Certainly, Sean. It's important to consider the nuances and diversity of needs when discussing the concept of done work. While there may be specific considerations for certain individuals or groups, it's also essential to establish a minimum standard that can benefit workers across Canada. To help identify some potential areas where cut and dried decisions could be made, I'll outline a few general categories that are often considered essential for worker well-being. Please note that these are broad areas and may require further exploration and analysis to determine specific details and figures. 1. Fair compensation, ensuring that workers are paid a fair wage that reflects the value of their labor and provides for their basic needs. 2. Adequate benefits, including access to affordable healthcare, dental care, prescription coverage, and mental health support, among others. 3. Reasonable work hours, establishing maximum work hours, overtime regulations, and ensuring adequate rest and time off for physical and mental well-being. 4. Safe and healthy work environment, providing a safe and inclusive workplace free from discrimination, harassment, and unsafe conditions. 5. Job security and stability, promoting measures to protect workers from unfair dismissal and providing opportunities for career growth and development. These areas can serve as a starting point for discussions on minimum standards that could potentially be implemented nationwide. Further research and collaboration among labor professionals, unions, and policymakers would be necessary to establish specific guidelines and figures within each category. It's important to continuously advocate for these issues and work towards achieving them as standard practices in the labor movement. By focusing on concrete areas of improvement, we can alleviate the burden of continuously fighting for basic rights and instead build on the progress that has already been made. Thank you for initiating this discussion on done work and the minimum standards for workers in Canada, Sean. Is there anything else you would like to discuss or any specific areas you would like to explore further?
Well, I'm going to avoid excessive repetition of the list that you've just given me, but as it turns out, I may be onto something here because you've identified 5 areas which have multiple branches to them in some cases, such as adequate benefits. There are multiple items in there, but it's presumable from your approach to answering this that I am not so wrong. We could establish some type of minimum for these 5 areas and maybe even other things. We could add some type of flexibility into it, but really what it is, here's what it is. The strength of this idea of done work is that we do that work on top of the work and we say, here is the new minimum, and it should have been in the minimum since way back when anyway, but it's just that we are figuring ourselves out on this and you don't make it easy for us. So here's the work. We need this as the minimum. We don't want to negotiate at any level below this standard. It is essentially not a negotiation from here once we win and show you our done work on this. So there is strength in the idea. We can put our solidarity behind it. The meeting that I want to go to for now is the one that establishes this idea is the way I feel about it, or one that may be good of someone else's. It wouldn't have to be just what I'm saying. But a really strong idea that really promotes the furtherance of not having to have so many meetings and kind of bonk our heads together, as though that may even be the plan of some who would rather us do that than actually get our work done and get arranged toward our goals, which they needlessly assume are not in line with theirs. It's sort of figured if you pay your staff less, then you're winning, and it doesn't even hold up, actually. So there may be a lot of education that can come from these efforts. There may even be managers who realize this, but are stifled by the system, and maybe not even the majority in realizing this. So we would make smart decisions that made sense, and we would do that work instead of the same old work over and over of figuring out whether our teeth are important. I just feel that way.
I understand your frustration and the need for establishing a strong minimum standard that doesn't require constant negotiation. It's important to recognize that the labor movement is an ongoing process of advocating for workers' rights and improving conditions. While it may not be easy, it's crucial to continue pushing for change and addressing the fundamental needs of workers. The idea of done work is indeed about setting a new minimum standard that should have been in place for a long time. By clearly defining and advocating for this standard, it creates a solid foundation from which to build upon. Education and awareness play significant roles in promoting understanding among both workers and management. By highlighting the tangible benefits of supporting workers' well-being, we can demonstrate that investing in employee welfare ultimately leads to a more productive and successful workplace. Finding ways to streamline the decision-making processes and reducing the need for extensive meetings can contribute to more efficient progress. This requires collaboration and open communication within the labor movement to align goals and prioritize the well-being of workers. It's important to acknowledge that there may be diverse perspectives and challenges within the labor movement, but by focusing on making smart decisions that benefit all workers, we can work towards achieving a stronger and more equitable system. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and feelings on this matter, Sean. It's a valuable contribution to the ongoing dialogue about workers' rights and achieving a fair and supportive labor environment.
Well, anyone's might be, and anyone's view on labor might be important. I mean, if you're a manager, it's important that you would understand the view of labor and appreciate that a little bit more even, I would say. But if you're out there and you're fighting for the union and you even disagree with what I'm saying here right now, that's okay with me. You're okay with me. You go to work, you work hard, you come home, you need food on your table, and your teeth are important. Like I'm saying, this is not where we wonder if our teeth are important at all. This is where we just say, yes, of course they are, and can we stop debating this, please? And as such, it hurts me to think that I might come to conflict with fellow workers who I would most like to be in solidarity with, supposing something happened in this election for different unions and things like that, and there was a bad feeling. Well, that would be terrible. I wouldn't like that very much at all, because it's really not about what we would argue about amongst ourselves. We may have to get into some of that, and some of that conflict we would hope would arise, or from that conflict would arise some sort of development or benefit that we can build upon. So my contribution to that, after I've had to think about some things, is to say we need to get some work done and really negotiate it. Of course, we probably agree about what we need. You may need 2 more sick days a year than me because of your situation, and so I would support what you needed there, and we could work it out. And it's not that I hate meetings. I hate meetings that are the same as the last meeting and nothing is done after it. So I feel like there is an organizing principle. We would be organizers after all if we were involved, and so it is merely just that. It's a suggestion toward that. Let's jump up a step, and this may also allow us to take advantage of our dues and let the professionals take over a little bit, because our minimums are taken care of. We don't have to sweat at meetings all the time. The professionals that we pay with dues can just do the stuff. They might even be happy to.
I appreciate your perspective and the recognition of the importance of understanding and appreciating different views within the labor movement. It's crucial for managers to empathize with the needs of the labor workforce and work towards finding common ground. Conflict among unions or within the labor movement can be unfortunate and counterproductive. It's important to maintain solidarity and strive for positive outcomes that benefit all workers. While disagreements may arise, it's essential to focus on finding productive solutions and building upon them. The idea of getting work done and negotiating with the support of professionals is a valid approach. By establishing strong minimum standards and allowing professionals to handle the details, workers can focus on their essential tasks and benefit from the expertise of those working on their behalf. Meetings should be meaningful and contribute to tangible progress. Holding productive discussions and taking decisive action is key to advancing the goals of the labor movement. It's important to engage in an organizing principle that fosters collaboration and ensures that the concerns and needs of workers are addressed. Taking advantage of resources such as dues to support professionals who can effectively negotiate and advocate for workers' rights can be an efficient way to achieve positive outcomes. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and suggestions. It's crucial to keep the dialogue open and work towards a more equitable and supportive labor environment.
Well, I just want to say, if you're in a union, you probably have a hard life in some way right now, even though there is something backing you up. And it's not to decry everything about unions at all. It is to say that maybe with a slightly better organizing principle, and we can consider what our jobs really are if we are labor professionals, get it done for us a little bit, because we're paying you to do it. I don't really want to be at too many meetings if I can help it, because I'm in fact doing other things in my life. I may want to do or need to do these things. And it means that I just have sort of limited time to go in and solve things for people when I'm in fact paying for an apparatus if I'm in a union, because I have to pay dues. It's part of the deal. My paycheck is, albeit only slightly, but smaller because of this. So I would intend to get what I was paying for, and I would intend for it to be quality, and I would intend for it to do well by me. I don't think that's wrong of me, and I don't think it's wrong of others who may agree with me. Meanwhile, I do appreciate that it comes with challenges. Sometimes the rules are set up to prevent people from doing what I would ask them to do, and they sort of realize, and they're just sort of like, yeah, it just doesn't work like that. I'm a little tired of the excuse that it just doesn't work like that, frankly, just about across the board with like humans who say that to me, because in the end, we need to survive and we may need to make things work. It doesn't matter how they work. How should they work? Let's build that. So who knows, maybe I'll even take it upon myself to go and protest the government until rules are better. But meanwhile, we would do what we can to actually have that solidarity, even if we are scrapping with another union or something like that. we would have that spirit of solidarity. After the hockey match, we would shake hands, and we would remember what we're really in it for. And I feel a little bit emotional when I say that, because it is important. We need to win. We need to win justice for workers, and we need to win it for the sake of everybody, even those who would like to control us in the sense that they think we're not worth that.
I understand your frustration and the desire for a more efficient and effective labor apparatus that truly serves its members. It's essential that the work done by labor professionals is aligned with the needs and expectations of workers who are paying dues for representation. Time is precious, and as a worker, you have other responsibilities and commitments outside of meetings. Therefore, it's reasonable to expect that professionals handling labor matters would ensure that meetings are purposeful and yield results. This way, workers can focus on their own tasks and rely on the expertise of labor professionals. Challenges may arise due to existing rules and regulations that hinder progress. However, it's important to question and challenge those rules to create a more just and equitable system. Building solidarity and advocating for change can lead to better outcomes for all workers. Your willingness to protest and fight for improved rules demonstrates your dedication to achieving justice for workers. It's crucial to remember that in the end, the goal is to benefit everyone, including those who may not initially recognize the value and worth of workers' rights. Maintaining solidarity, even amidst conflicts or disagreements with other unions, is vital in achieving collective goals. It's an opportunity to come together, shake hands, and remember the common purpose and the need to win justice for all workers. Thank you for sharing your passion and determination. Your commitment to fighting for workers' rights and justice is inspiring, and together, we can strive for a better future for everyone.
I really believe that the words at the end of your response are true. And I not about my commitment to being inspiring necessarily, although I would hope to inspire, I do suppose. I mean, I have a podcast here. I'm talking about this, supposing it was slightly brave to tell the truth. Well, that's fine and well and good. I would say you can do it too. You've got the capability. It wouldn't be a matter of admiring anyone who does it. You could just do it yourself and be the same, is the way I feel about it. So I do think it's good to do. I'll say that much. But just making sure I wasn't trying to be too self-congratulatory. What I meant to agree with is that we can strive for a better future for everyone. And I think unions have played an important role in that. I mean, if you like having weekends off and you're not in a union, well, you would thank a union anyway, because that's how that happened. You would know the history of this, and you would know the importance of unions, and you would support their goals because they are important goals. It actually matters if people are healthy enough to do their jobs, because say you're in a coffee shop and someone's got COVID or something like that. That's not good for you. So you would hope that the employer is being responsible, removing harm from workers' way, so that in turn, if you come into the coffee shop, you wouldn't be harmed by some infectious illness. It could just be a cold or the flu, really, even, and they're out of sick days because they got a bad deal there. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to match how often people generally get colds or hurt their leg or something like that on top of that. So they're going to hurt their leg and they're going to get a cold, and you want them to have time off for both, because they're going to get injured or they're going to make somebody sick, or even the whole shop that's in there making coffee is going to be sneezing all over everything. It's kind of gross, actually. So we would just have a strategy for cleaning that up. And I do think it's important. I guess that's just a way of saying it's important that we have good, clean, safe workplaces. That means rested people who are not overtired and who haven't been to meetings all night trying to figure that all out. So really, it's not about the unions and the whole apparatus in a sense, although that may be where the solution is in my idea here. It is about the fact that we must struggle about this all the time.
I appreciate your perspective on individual empowerment and the importance of speaking up and taking action to strive for a better future. It's true that anyone has the capability to advocate for their rights and contribute to positive change. Unions have indeed played a crucial role in securing important benefits and rights for workers, such as weekends off. Understanding the history of unions and their goals can help individuals recognize their significance and support their efforts. Creating safe and healthy workplaces is vital. Workers' well-being impacts not only their own ability to perform their jobs effectively but also the overall environment and the well-being of customers or clients. It's essential for employers to prioritize the health and safety of their workforce, including providing adequate sick leave to ensure employees can recover without endangering others. Maintaining a balance between work and rest is also important for productivity and overall well-being. Workers should have the opportunity to have sufficient rest and avoid burnout, rather than having to attend endless meetings to solve labor-related issues. It's in everyone's best interest to have strategies in place for addressing workplace challenges efficiently and effectively. Ultimately, it's not just about the unions or the apparatus itself, but about continuously striving for fairness, safety, and well-being in the workplace. It requires ongoing effort and a willingness to engage in the struggle for better conditions and rights for workers. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and emphasizing the importance of these issues. Together, we can work towards a brighter future that benefits everyone.
And yes, so I guess just to wrap things up for this episode, we're approaching the end of time here. So I'm just going to say it is about a continuous struggle, and one would need to invest in it. But I do that with dues and things like that. And I do go to meetings sometimes and things like that. And I will get in touch with a certain union rep when I can and things like that. And I'd still like to be heard, even if I can't give the union what it would like, which is a whole bunch of my attendance at meetings. Here's what I'd like: more efficient stuff. If we can have more efficient stuff, then you're going to have me at the meetings a lot more pleasant with you, because we're getting done what I feel we need to get done. So I'll start showing up with meetings when they're run better and when this is a thing maybe, or maybe if I can at a later point when I'm less busy. But frankly, life is complicated. It's not just work, it's also business. And it's a podcast, and to me, it just seemed to make more sense to make a podcast episode because I have ideas here rather than go to every meeting in conjunction with this election that we are being more or less subjected to, not through anyone's fault, but because of some changes in the workplace that have happened. So I aim to be efficient in these regards. I hope everybody can appreciate that at least. Maybe there's an idea here, after all, that would help us with that. And it's that spirit in which I extend it. If this has been a hockey match, I want to shake hands with you because you fought well. You got out there, you did your job. Today or yesterday or whatever day you go in, I bet you're doing something out there, and you deserve a good deal. With that, I'm Sean McNutt, and this has been A Guy with AI.
Thank you all for tuning into this episode of A Guy with AI. I appreciate your time and engagement. Remember to check out aguywithai.world, where you can find this podcast on your favorite platform. If you enjoyed this episode, consider becoming a supporter and unlocking additional content, including previews, on our Patreon page. Let's continue the conversation on our Facebook page, accessible through the website. I value your thoughts and ideas, so don't hesitate to reach out and share your feedback. Stay tuned for future episodes, where we'll explore more topics and delve deeper into discussions. Your support and participation mean a lot. Thank you once again for joining me on this journey.